Yes now, bless now. Don't forget the rest now. There's that King of the Pit TV. We had a little overview on Anthrax's initial history leading up to the first two records. Now we're going to have a little look at the Fistful of Metal record, a little bit of background surrounding it, and see if there's anything interesting. So I listened to this record a little bit back. To be honest with you, I didn't want to get into the record. I didn't want to listen to it because all of the references I had from numerous people weren't positive ones. People didn't tend to like this record. I didn't find it too bad, in all honesty. I didn't find it too bad. But of course, now I've listened to the second one as well, so I've got some sort of comparative, relationship between the two. But here's a little bit of history to recap. See if there's anything interesting in here. So, Fistful of Metal is the debut studio album by heavy metal band Anthrax. I wonder why they call it a heavy metal band at this point instead of a thrash metal band. Released in '84 by Megaforce Records and Music for Nations internationally. So who have Megaforce put out? American indie label by John Zazula. In the last Anthrax history session, we found out that John Zazula was one of the people who sort of called on them firing the original vocalists, which probably was the best way around it by the look of where Anthrax went. Artists, current and former: Anthrax, Exciter. These are bands I'm aware of. Fozzy. Are Fozzy any good, people? That's quite funny. Led by Chris Jericho. King's X rings a bell. Have I listened to King's X before? I don't think I have done. Man of War. Who's Lucy Brown? Funk rock metal band. Living Colour, Merciful Fate, Metallica, Ministry, MOD, Overkill, SOD, a band called Sweaty Nipples, Testament, Violence, other artists: Ace Frehley from Kiss, Bad Brains, Hank Williams III, Lost Prophets, Meat Puppets. Interesting stuff. So Megaforce Records hopefully made a couple of quid. Seems like they're a well-established label, independent label at the very least, to be able to put them acts out. So let's have a look. The album includes a cover of Alice Cooper's I'm 18. This is the band's only album to feature original frontman Neil Turbin and original bassist Dan Lilker, who were replaced by Matt Fallon and eventually by third vocalist Joey Belladonna and Frank Bello, respectively. Former original guitarist Greg Walls claims that Anthrax ripped him off as he claimed he wrote the original material on the album. It sucks, mate. It sucks. You should have got your credit. You should have got your right credit. I know so many bands, yeah? So many bands. Listen to this. So many bands who are not taking it serious to the degree where they just start a band, want to go somewhere with the band, but don't get into the legal elements, don't learn how to copyright the music, don't learn about writing, copyright, the songwriter's credit, don't learn about the masters, and so on and so forth. And these are the artists that will get ripped off, that will have a bad outcome as time goes by, that will be left like this guy just whinging and moaning because Anthrax blew the hell up and was one of the big four, and you're getting no credit, you're getting no money, no revenue, no nothing. You have to go on with your life and resent that fact. Time and time again, I see it. I'm around musicians all the time. Costs a couple of quid to get signed up to a performing rights society. A lot of people don't want to pay that. And then wonder why nothing's happening. Why they're not creating revenue. You need to look into that, musicians. You need to look into that. Something very close to me. Schoolmates Daniel, okay, cool. We looked into that. So, Anthrax recorded a 5-track demo in early '83 with the band signing to Megaforce Records. The label issued a 7-inch single of Soldiers of Metal, Howling Furies, which sold 3,000 copies in 2 weeks. I wonder what the marketing was like. Fistful of Metal was recorded in Pyramid Sound Studios in New York and produced by Carl Kennedy, drummer of The Rods. Cool band name, never heard of them. The album was released in January '84 by Megaforce in the US, Music for Nations in the UK, and Roadrunner in Europe. Alright. So from the get-go, they were flying. Shortly after the release of Fistful of Metal, Lilker was fired by Anthrax. After I was thrown out, the guys unfairly said, well, it took him 30 times to record the bass track for I'm 18, and if you listen to the bass track, if you didn't know the whole story, you would say, well, that's weird, isn't it? It's only like 5 notes. Truly, that's another thing with bands. It's good looking into the early history of these bands, because Anthrax kicked him out for being shit in the studio. You haven't learnt your parts. We're paying for that. We're doing what we're doing. We're dragging you along. You're a ball and chain. Get out. A lot of bands don't do that, and they keep the dead weight in the band. And they wonder. Well, they don't even wonder. They just moan about this dead weight forever. Learn from the best. Learn from others' mistakes. Get them out the band. Shortly after release, Lilka was fired. The band, at Ian and Benante's insistence, hired Charlie's nephew, Bank Bello, as Lilka's replacement. Turbin had contributed song ideas, lyrics, titles and arrangement to most songs on the album, as well as 3 songs from the second album, Spreading the Disease. But Ian and Benante, who played guitar in addition to drums, felt they needed tighter control on the songwriting, due to a songwriting partnership between Ian and Benante. With Ian wanting to be more of a central focal point, he began writing the lyrics and Benante the music. Turbin was forced out of the band a few weeks after the Roseland Ballroom show with Metallica. Music journalist Eddie Trunk stated early on, I told John Zazula that what I didn't like about Anthrax was singing Neil Turbin's vocals. He admits in his writing to pressuring Zazula and Anthrax into firing Turbin from the band. The band did not rehire Lilka when given the opportunity and instead opted for then Anthrax roadie Frank Bello. Former guitarist Greg Walls said he was shocked that the album was released without giving credit to Walls as the primary songwriter on Panic and Metal Thrashing Mad, as well as smaller songwriting contributions throughout the album. Cool. The released in '84, January, right at the start. It was released as a double album by Music for Nations in the UK. What is Music for Nations? British independent label focusing mainly on rock and metal. It was a subsidiary of the larger label distributed Zomba Records, which was a division of BMG and later Sony Music Entertainment. So let's have a quick look at Music for Nations. One moment, just put the charger in. Launched by 83. So we'll look at this separately. Let's look at the roster. I don't know too many of these bands, to be honest. Asteroid Boys. Asteroid Boys used to play here very regular. I didn't know they were still going. A Welsh rap rock band. Man, Asteroid Boys. I've seen Asteroid Boys a couple of times. Welsh rap rock band from Cardiff whose music has been called a mix of hardcore, punk and grime music. They were one of them. Do you know like how the Beasties combined the two? Asteroid did a good job doing the same. Supposedly they're been on a hiatus since 2019. Astro Boys have told the Hollywood Undead, I won't waste your time, I'm just learning for my own sake here. On January 2019, Benji announced that after finishing the Next Door, the project will go on an indefinite hiatus. I wonder what they're doing. Now. But yeah, interesting stuff. Worth checking out if you're interested in more experimental music. Which isn't so experimental, it like pushes the boundaries of what you don't want to hear. Quite a good band. Bury Tomorrow, I'm aware of them. Candlemass, Cradle of Filth, Entombed, Exciter, Exodus, The Exploited, Godflesh, Head PE, who cares? Let's get straight back on to what we're learning about. Megaforce repackaged a compilation of Fistful of Metal and the 85 extended play Armed and Dangerous in '05, which featured different artwork and some liner notes, but excluded any new mixes and bonus tracks commemorating its 25th anniversary. Megaforce reissued the album on 3 coloured 10-inch LPs and also include Armed and Dangerous. That's a power play that when bands know they're selling out and they just put the same record out on different coloured LPs, a lot of collectors will just go and buy the 3. I know people who buy the 3, no problem. The ratings aren't great. All Music have given it 2 stars. Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal, 8 out of 10. Encyclopedia of Pop Music, 2 stars. Rolling Stone Album Guide, 2 stars. And I say 2 stars out of 5 stars. Critical reception was mixed. Xavier or whatever called it a great debut album with songs played at 100 miles an hour, which could have been slightly more original writing in the Encyclopedia of Popular Music. Colin Larkin called the cover art tasteless, but commended the album's small but steady commercial performance. All Music Steve Huey said Anthrax had not found its distinctive style yet true, sounding more like a Judas Priest cover band. Huey found the lyrics utilising heavy metal stereotypes and opined fans would find the record off-putting. Canadian journalist Martin Popoff, which is a great name, praised the well-produced sound and the almost operatic anti-thrash vocals from Turbin. Cool insight, anti-thrash vocals. considering the album responsible for putting New York back on the US metal map and quality back in the books of bruising and uncompromising underground metal. This guy obviously wasn't a fan of, the aggression for aggression's sake. The term thrash metal was used for the first time in the music press by Kerrang journalist Malcolm Dome, referring to the song as metal thrashing mad. That is crazy. Shout out to my man Malcolm Dome. That's a crazy little factoid there, if that's true. The term thrash metal was used for the first time by Kerrang journalist Malcolm Dome, referring to the song as metal thrashing mad. Guitar World magazine placed the album on their list of new sensations, 50 iconic albums that defined 84. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. As far as I don't know shit all about all of the albums that were put out, but why the hell not? It's Anthrax's debut. In June 2019, Decibel included Fistful of Metal in their Hall of Fame due to its reputation as one of the best early examples of thrash metal. Despite its acclaim, Fistful of Metal is considered to be one of the least represented studio albums of Anthrax's career. I can see why. Most of the songs from the album have rarely been played live since the band rose to popularity with their next two albums, Spreading the Disease and Among the Living, although Death Rider, Metal Thrashing Mad, Panic, Soldiers of Metal, Anthrax and Across the River have seen periodic revivals in later years. No songs from this album have appeared on any of the band's compilation albums, including Return of the Killer Rays, Madhouse, The Very Best of Anthrax, and Anthrology. No hit ones. I think I had the best of Anthrax back in the day on CD, to be honest. Didn't listen to it much. Has it got a yellow cover? Let's have a look. Does it have a yellow cover? No, it doesn't. I didn't have that record. Though they did re-record the heavily requested Death Rider, Metal Thrashing Mad, Panic and Anthrax for their 2004 album, The Greater of Two Evils. What is The Greater of Two Evils? Was it a proper album? I wouldn't have re-recorded it if it was like on a proper album. In '86, the album was banned in Germany by the Federal Department for Media Harmful to Young Parents for its violent cover artwork. The ban has since expired. How incredible is that? I mean, you can't even make much sense out of the album artwork. Personally, I think it's a crap album cover. I like it within reason because it's striking, but it looks like the fist is just like coming out of the guy's mouth as opposed to him being punched. That's what I think. So we're gonna have a look now onto the second record and the introduction of Joey Belladonna. We're gonna look at Spreading the Disease. We've got a little bit of info to cover, so I'll see you on the next one, people.